Hey guys, welcome back to Duck Walk. My name is Danielle, and we are going to go over what this kid did. I'm going to tell you guys something. I am terminally ill. I have one rare autoimmune disease that is paralyzing me from the extremities in. And when I was living in California, and I got on disability because I'm sick, my insurance came automatic with my disability. Doctors are different nowadays because they get a lot of kickback from pharmaceutical companies for prescribing their medications. And they try to see as many patients as possible in a day so they can profit greatly from their visits and prescribing these medications that these pharmaceutical companies want them to. And they do get kickbacks. That's why doctors do so well. It's why they'll see 50 to 100 patients a day. They don't give a shit anymore about their patients. They don't care about the struggle and the issues that we have to deal with. They just throw medications at it because pharmaceutical companies give them kickbacks for every prescription they write for their drugs, which do more harm than good. Before I got diagnosed with my illness, I was pretty healthy. But I had injured my back severely, and I suffered a lot of nerve issues. And at one point, my doctor had me on 21 different medications, all of which had different side effects, which messed up my system, which I believe is the cause of me getting the autoimmune disease, because it broke my body. A lot of the medications I had been prescribed had black box warnings, which means if you took one medication with another, it was going to cause severe side effects. And most doctors don't pay attention to that. And it's my belief that because of that, I ended up getting an autoimmune disease, because all of the side effects really messed my system up. So now I'm terminal, thanks to pharmaceutical companies and the medical field. But after I realized what happened, and that I was partly to blame for it because I would allow these doctors because I trusted them. They are doctors. They're supposed to know what they're doing. At the time, I didn't know that they were getting kickbacks. I was ignorant to that. I thought doctors believed in their oath. First, do no harm. Apparently not. So, I ended up throwing out all of those medications, and I don't allow doctors to just throw medications at me anymore. I do now have to take permanent medications in order to function each day. Being terminal, it's a fucking situation. And here in North Carolina, it's not made easier because I've lived here for 8 months. I transferred my disability down here. But for some reason, SSI is not doing their job properly, and 8 months later, I am still having to apply every month with the state to get my insurance until SSI fixes whatever their problem is in their system. Here in the state of North Carolina, it's like they don't give a shit. And that's made apparent by the way that they do things. There's no recourse for me. I get no help. And I get the bare minimum now. I like North Carolina as a state because it's beautiful. It's a lot safer where I am. And I enjoy being around my grandchildren. So, of course, I had to move here with them because I'm with their father being gone, my son, I am his only representation of him. I'm it. And we're going to talk about what this young man did. And I'm going to try to be civil about it because there are a lot of, how do I say it? There's a lot more to what he did than what's being looked at. My son, on February 21st, two police officers showed up at my son's house with probation and a task force looking for a probation kid that lived in behind my son. Now, my son had a large backyard that had a 8-foot stucco wall that made a smaller backyard. It was like two backyards in one. The smaller one, they couldn't see what was in his backyard. So they wanted to go through the house, because that's the only way you could get into his backyard, is to walk through the house, go through his bedroom, and into the backyard. Well, my son doesn't really care for cops. So he told him no. But he did tell them, I am a licensed gun owner, and he would search the backyard for them. He said that he would be doing it armed, and that to tell everyone else that was out there, the task force, the probation, that were looking for this kid, not to shoot, because he would be searching his backyard armed, since the suspect they were looking for was a violent suspect. They said okay. So my son gets a shirt on, grabs his pistol, his 9mm, and went out into the small backyard, searched it. It only took a second because he can just see it from his door. But then when you go through the little gate into the bigger backyard, there was a cop behind a wooden fence. My son didn't even know he was there. He was facing sideways to the cop with his firearm tucked behind his back leg, kind of hiding it in case he, because he didn't want anyone to mistake him as the criminal, but he also wanted to maintain his safety for his wife and his 1-year-old that was at home with him. When he came out from the little backyard, this cop saw him with his gun, and instead of telling my son to drop it, get down, nothing, just he yelled gun and opened fire on my son, killing him in front of his wife and daughter. He died 2 weeks after my birthday and 4 days before his baby sisters. The bullet went in his left jaw and blew out the right side of his face. The cop that killed my son was never charged. The investigation, after 2 years, is still open and pending, so which means we can't get the body cam footage. He is still working on the police force out in the field. And was just on Facebook tasing some guy in the chest, in the heart, on a dry stun, and acting cocky and entitled. The Sheriff's Department, the Riverside County Sheriff's Department, covered up the murder of my son, and Hemet PD covered up the murder of my son. So I'm speaking on behalf of a mother who lost a son because some guy thought it was his right to take his life without question. Thought it was his right to shoot first and ask questions later. He thought it was his right because he wore a badge and a gun to play judge, jury, and executioner on an innocent man that was just doing a search they asked him to do. So when I say what I'm saying because I've gone through it. It's coming up on 2 years since my son's death. My son was married. He has 5 children. And his youngest at the time of his death was 1. The day he died, he did like every other day. He got up, he got his children ready for school, and he took them to school and dropped them off. Brought his wife home, his 1-year-old home, and they were just about to go out and go grocery shopping when the cops showed up. We will never get justice for my son as long as the cops continue to investigate themselves and find no wrongdoing. As long as people feel that they are entitled to play God, there will never be justice in this world. What this young man did he grew up entitled, was not taught that life is precious, that life should be respected and cherished because it could be gone in an instant. In an instant. He didn't do this because this guy was a CEO and someone in his family was denied care, life-saving care, which they do. He didn't do this because someone in his life who required treatment in order to live died because they were denied by this healthcare company. He did this because he was not taught that taking a life is never an acceptable way to get your point across. You do not have the right to play judge, jury, and executioner in the streets. That is not your right. He grew up rich, had a privileged life, went to excellent schools, but was never taught by his parents how to move in this world. He was a rich boy that got away with whatever he wanted, was spoiled and entitled, and now that he wasn't in high school anymore, he wasn't the valedictorian, he wasn't special anymore. He was just an average, everyday guy again. Or like the rest of us, an average, everyday guy that's got to go to work every day and live life and make it on your own. He didn't do this because of any actual grievance. He did it because he didn't feel special anymore. Maybe he was so used to being so popular and everybody wanting to be around him, and then when he gets out into the real world, he finds out no one gives a shit about you but you. So he wanted to make a statement, get his name out there, and get famous again. What he did, I guess, the fact that he idolized the Unabomber, he's a psychopath. I feel so bad for the family of that CEO because I know what it's like to have your loved one 1 minute and they're gone the next and you don't get to say goodbye. It's not like they had a terminal illness that you could know that they're going to die, and you get to spend those special time that they have left making memories that will last a lifetime. No, they didn't have that. This selfish, entitled, little spoiled brat thought it was his right to take this man's life because of where he worked. I know the frustration about insurance companies because I deal with it. Every month I gotta fight just to get the bare minimum. But that does not give me the right to just walk up and take somebody's life because I don't like what they stand for. Just watch.
Is the Ivy League graduate and valedictorian who police say is the suspected CEO assassin.
Luigi Nicholas Mangione.
Luigi Mangione is from a wealthy Maryland family. He was valedictorian at his graduation from a $40,000 a year private school with a carnation in his buttonhole.
It's been an incredible journey, and I simply can't imagine the last few years with any other group of guys. Thank you.
He is now a data engineer with a degree from the University of Pennsylvania. This is a muscle-bound Mangione working at an office in Honolulu where he last lived. He is 26 years old and was arrested in a McDonald's in Altoona, Pennsylvania, 100 miles east of Pittsburgh, and held at this local police headquarters.
He is believed to be our person of interest in the brazen targeted murder of Brian Thompson CEO of United Healthcare, last Wednesday in Midtown Manhattan.
A McDonald's employee recognized the grinning suspect from the surveillance camera images seen around the country. That employee then called 911. Police say he had a gun, a silencer, fake IDs, and what is described as a manifesto. That manifesto reportedly says of healthcare executives, those parasites had it coming, and I do apologize for any strife and trauma, but it had to be done. This is one of the fake IDs found on Mangione. It's said to match the one used by the killer to check into a hostel in Upper Manhattan. He is said to be a big admirer of the Unabomber Ted Kaczynski, responsible for a 20-year mail bombing campaign. Police say when he was busted at the McDonald's, he was carrying a gun he made himself with a 3D printer. His family owns 2 country clubs in Maryland. And is this a clue to an alleged motive? It's an image on Mangione's social media showing an x-ray of 4 pins in a spinal injury. It's unclear whether Mangione is the patient. The breakthrough in the case came as police divers continued to search a lake in New York Central Park for items dumped by the assassin. A backpack believed to have been worn by the killer was found in the park Friday night. It contained clothing and, of all things, wads of Monopoly money. Former FBI agent Jennifer Coffindaffer believes the assassin wanted to send a message.
The Monopoly money symbolized United Healthcare being a monopoly, but it was bigger than that. It was him showing his grandioseness, in my opinion, saying, look, I can taunt the police and they're still not going to find me.
There's not much funny about murder, but Saturday Night Live's Weekend Update delivered a half-dozen one-liners about the assassin.
And it really says something about America that a guy was murdered in cold blood, and the 2 main reactions were, yeah, well, healthcare stinks. And also, girl, that shooter hot.
Beyond the laughter is one family's grief. United Healthcare CEO Brian Thompson was laid to rest today. Now it seems as if the 6-day search could be over, thanks to an eagle-eyed McDonald's employee.
A McDonald's employee did something we ask every American to do. If you see something, say something, but most importantly, do something.
Saturday Night Live. Fuck. Wow. And that FBI agent, I find her full of shit. This guy did it because he wanted to be TikTok famous. When you idolize Ted Kaczynski or the Unabomber and you think what he did was fabulous, no, you just want to be famous. So you did the most outrageous thing you could do, like a school shooting, and just to get your name because you don't feel special anymore. You're not the popular kid in high school anymore. His parents failed. They failed to teach him how precious life is. They gave him everything he could ever want. Every time he wanted something, they got it for him because they had the money to do it. He's a spoiled, rich, little shit that I'm going to say something that's going to be controversial because I can't stand what this guy did. I don't understand why people think it's okay to play God and take a life. These people that think it's okay to just go into schools and kill kids, think it's okay to just walk up and shoot somebody, do drive-bys. Why are we giving them life sentences instead of the death penalty? Why are we showing them mercy when they didn't show their victims mercy? The death penalty in any capital murder case, and this is a capital murder case, should be the only sentence they get. No plea bargain. This is what you're getting. End of story. There should be no, we'll give you life sentence without parole. No. And it shouldn't take 20, 30 years to do it. They're on video. You can't deny he did it. He had the gun. He had the silencer on him. There's no denying he's the shooter. Death penalty. No ifs, ands, or buts about it. We need to start taking control. The punishment should fit the crime. If you take a life in blatant disregard of that person's right to life, you forfeit your own. And I know that's going to be controversial to most people, because most people don't think that that's right, that it should be life in prison no matter what. I disagree. The reason we have the problems we have is that we've become too liberal in our thinking. You get 3 hots in a cot for the rest of your fucking life, while the families of your victims feel that sting of loss for the rest of their lives. There's an empty space that they will never heal from. And if we don't start getting strict on this stuff, the school shootings, the drive-bys, all of that will continue because we are being too polite about it. We've tried the politeness, and it hasn't stopped the violence. Because there's no real consequence for what they do. There's no real consequence. What's life in prison? They sit around, watch TV, play cards, play dominoes, 3 hots in a cot, money on their books so they can buy food, watch TV in their cells. They now have iPods and vape pens. Are you kidding me? So no, I think the punishment should fit the crime. If you take a life, you should lose your life. And if that's a real consequence, people might think twice about ending somebody else's life. That's my opinion. And until you have to bury a child because someone thought it was their right to shoot first and not give a shit about the consequences, I got nothing for you but the hope that one day you get what you give. Anyways, that's all for right now. Leave your comments in the comment section. That's my opinion on it. I think the man should get the death penalty. There should be no life in prison without the possibility of parole, because what he did was deliberate. There was forethought. It was horrendous. And the only ones that are paying for this is the family, because he's gone. He has no feeling. He has no skin in this game anymore. The pain, the anguish, the loss, the horror that his family is going through is unfathomable. And I know because I go through it every fucking day. every day. So leave a comment, share the video, and have a great day, guys.